So, welcome to my tool shed, and this tool, which I call the mirror moment. I also call it your naked existence. I think that's a little more provocative and gets it certainly more guys into the tool shed. But whether you call it the naked existence tool or the mirror moment tool, it's the same thing. Let me tell you a little bit about it. And also, for this one particularly, I've done a podcast with my friend Scott Schaffman, who inspired this. The mirror moment came to me years ago when I had to begin the journey of mourning my dead father. As you probably know, and if not, you certainly can read about it in my last book, Spark Seekers, and I've been very forthcoming talking about it in my podcasts and videos. But you probably know my father took his life by suicide. My dad died by suicide years ago. And that's tragic. It was tragic. It still is a tragedy in my life. However, there was a deeper tragedy at play, and that's the way I've found my dad. My dad was a very successful man on every level, except the biggest challenge was he didn't believe it. He didn't feel that success, or he never would have taken his life. And the true, as I call it, tragedy compounded was not only that he died, and he died by suicide, but how he died by suicide. My dad chose to hang himself above his and his wife's bed. And I went there days later after he had already been obviously taken down. And I spent time in that room with a police report in hand. And I was just kind of studying. I wanted to know how my dad left this world. And so I was looking at the police report and it struck me. And I saw where he had hanged himself and the direction he had faced was found facing according to the police report. And that the direction he was facing was straight to the bathroom door. And as I looked at the police report, it hit me. The door was opened, and at the time when I was discovering this, it was closed. And I opened the door, and lo and behold, what did I see? Straight across from his vantage point, a mirror. And it really struck me. I don't mean to be too gruesome, but you've tuned in, you can handle this. My father didn't break his neck. My father died by suffocation. Those are the two options when you hang yourself, either dying immediately with your neck breaking, or you can last a minimum of 90 seconds up to a few minutes if your neck doesn't break. Well, my father's neck didn't break, so I just have to assume that he was conscious until he was unconscious. And in those final moments of consciousness, it breaks my heart to say my dad was looking at himself in the mirror. I don't know if he tried to undo what he had set in progress, but he couldn't obviously do that, or if he just had to simply watch impotently as he hung there, leaving this world with so much, I don't know, suffering and degradation. I would wish on no other human being. I would wish on nobody. I wish it didn't happen to him, but it did. And so I've spent the past, 30 years, but especially these past 17 years, helping people in general, men in particular, do mirror work. And I find it's very difficult for men. What is mirror work? It's to proactively go to a mirror, any mirror, and look at yourself in the mirror and learn to hold your gaze. This was inspired, as I mentioned, by one of my friends and clients, Scott Schaffman. You can watch the video more on that. But when we started our work together a few years ago, he couldn't look at himself in the eyes. How many people I talked to who I assigned the mirror moment to go take a deep look into their eyes and hold the gaze, who can't do it, who won't do it, who don't like the man or the woman staring back at them from the mirror. And that is, my friends, the pathway to hell. If there is a hell, I don't know if it's on the other side of existence. I doubt it, but I do know there is one in this existence, and I described it to you in my father. But there are degrees of hell. There's the slippery slope to hell, and it begins, in my opinion, years prior to my dad's ending, when he could have or would have or should have gone to the mirror to look at himself in the eyes, to hold the gaze, to like the man staring back at him, to respect the man staring back at him, to come to love to that man staring back at him. He never did his work. You can do this work. You must do this work. You must do it for yourself and for your children and your spouse and your family, friends, loved ones, those who will walk in your footsteps. And it begins with a mirror. So you can take a handheld mirror, or you can go to the bathroom mirror. You can do this at a restaurant. It takes 2 seconds. You can do this certainly in your bedroom, and lock the door and stare in the mirror and do it for minutes, even much longer than that. The longer you can stare at yourself and hold your gaze and like yourself, respect yourself, love yourself, then you are defying the darkness. You are on your pathway away from hell and back towards heaven on earth. And that's what this is about. And so I want to end with the Mirror Moment mantra. This is a poem that was given to me years ago by my grandfather, my Grandpa Jack, my maternal grandfather, who was watching me, witnessing me, and didn't like the choices I was making, didn't like the path I was going down. And I just remember he handed me this poem. I think I was 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there. And it stuck with me, and I've been carrying it for the past 30 years in some way, shape, or form. And it really hit me after my father's death. And it's been in many ways a mantra for myself and for those whom I guide ever since. Written again in 1934, so a little dated, but I think that adds to some of its charm. Dale Wimbrow, 1934, The Guy in the Glass. When you get what you want in your struggle for self and the world makes you king for a day, then go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that guy has to say. For it isn't your father or mother or wife whose judgment upon you must pass. The feller whose verdict counts most in your life is the guy staring back from the glass. He's the fellow to please, never mind all the rest, for he's with you clear up to the end. And you've passed your most dangerous, difficult test if the guy in the glass is your friend. You may be like Jack Horner and chisel a plum. That just means thinking you're a wonderful guy. But the man in the glass says you're only a bum if you can't look him straight in the eye. You can fool the whole world down the pathway for years and get pats on the back as you pass. But your final reward will be heartache and tears if you've cheated the guy in the glass. That is the mirror work, the guy in the glass work. The naked existence work, Dr. Viktor Frankl says, when the world reduces us down and stripping us of everything, not just our clothing, but our physical form and our outward accolades and professions and accomplishments, and we are reduced down in time throughout the afternoon of life into the evening of life. Our naked existence is what is left, that one thing that can't be taken from us, that can't be taken from you. The naked existence is your defiant power, as Frankl said, of your spirit, that spirit that is you, and that's what you need to get to see him or her, that staring back at you, the defiant power of the human spirit, the guy, the gal, staring back from the glass. Until the next tool, defy your number, live your spirit, and please leave some thoughts in the comments about what this tool has done for you, and hopefully it does much for you. Until then, defy your number, live your spirit.